Okay, so a quick video here to remind us how to sketch a quadratic. So looking at what we have right off the bat, I have the standard form and the factored form of the equation. If I don't have one, I can always find it by either factoring the standard or expanding the factored to get the other one. The key points I'm going to need to do this are the x-intercepts, the y-intercepts, and of course the vertex itself. So the x-intercepts we'll look at first. For the x-intercepts, y will be 0. That is to say that in this equation here, y would be 0. And so these two possible factors, one of them has to be 0 for us to get an x-intercept. And so we kind of go through the process of solving that. 2x plus 3 is 0, or x minus 2 is 0. And then kind of simplifying those as if they're simple little equations, we find that x is either negative 1.5 or x is positive 2. So over here at positive 2, negative 1.5, those are my two x-intercepts. The y-intercept, if you don't remember, occurs when x equals 0. And so if we put zeros in all these spots, we of course get y equals negative 6. Same thing, of course, if we plug the values into this part, we would still get that same negative 6 because we get 3 times the negative 2. So we don't really need the standard form in this case, but when we have it, it's a little bit quicker to get to the sketch. Now the last point, the one we sometimes refer to as the fourth point, which is actually our vertex. We find the vertex because by knowing that it is exactly halfway between these 2 points. So between the x here, the x-intercept here, and the x-intercept here is the vertex. It'll be on the line right here, wherever that happens to be. So you can sort of see that I go 1, 2 to get to here. If I go 2 from there, it's going to be that just on this side of my y-axis is the line that tells me where my vertex will be. So to solve that, we look at the individual numbers. I have this negative 1.5, this positive 2, and I'm looking for the midpoint. Midpoint from earlier in the course is this. Add the two numbers together, divide by 2. We can also just think of it as the average of the two values. So somehow we have to find that number. Again, adding them, dividing by 2 is fine. Often we can just look at the question and sort of figure out where that value is. And then once we know the x of the vertex, we need the y of the vertex as well. To do that, we will simply plug it into one of the original equations. I think the standard in this case is probably the easier, and we get y equals negative 6.125. So the point right about here is the point 0.25 and negative 6.125. That's my vertex, and this is my sketch.